shave this down the best we can, and then give it one more final clean. It was not a fun battle, but today is the day that we finally get to put the motor and transmission back together. Most of the parts arrived today. We're still missing a few things for the motor, but anything that we're missing we can put on the motor and transmission when it's in the car. So it's not that big of a deal. But luckily the main things got shipped out today, so we should be able to put it all back together and go from there. So here's what we're working with. We got ARP bolts for the flywheel, and we went with shorter ones because we have a new single mass flywheel, which means that we can use the shorter ones. We have a new rear main seal and a pilot bearing. We have the clutch bolts, we have the alignment tool, and we have a new throw-up bearing. So unfortunately I don't have an engine stand, so I'll just have to be on the cherry picker, but we should be able to get it all done from right here, is what I'm hoping. And I forgot to mention that we will also be doing the oil pan gasket. Now a lot of people say that this ultra black gasket maker works the best. Guess we'll see how it goes. So I didn't order a new gasket for the oil pan. We're just gonna test our luck with this. So the oil pan bolts are just a 10mm, and they're not torqued down too tight, so not too hard to get out. We're just gonna have to get a little something to pry it. This way we can also check out kind of the underside of the motor. Turned over just fine, but grab a little hammer. Man, it is really stuck on there. I mean, am I missing a bolt here? What's going on? Jeez. I'll get back when I get it off. I did drain the oil when I took the motor out, but still a little excess oil in there. It looks really clean actually, so that's good. But probably we'll scrape off all the old stuff and then spray a bunch of brake cleaner in there to clean it all out, and then put on a new sealant. Now that we got the rest of the remaining oil out, we're just going to take off this seal right here so we can put on a new one. Shave this down the best we can, and then give it one more final clean out, and then we'll put on the new gasket maker. I'm going to try and get it off the best that I can. But for some reason they kind of put it on the inside of it a little bit. And I want to make sure that I get all the remaining chunks that I'm kind of taking off here out of this oil pan, because we definitely don't want none of that to get sucked up later on. Next thing that we're going to do is just clean off the underside of this pan down here. Just then we have a nice surface to go on. And I mean, I could take out this valve right here, but if you look inside of there, it looks really clean. So I mean, I don't see too much of a point to take it off. Check the torque specs on them, and then we can move on to the next thing. So the torque specs were only 5 to 7 foot-pounds, which is not hardly anything, but most people probably say, why don't you just do them hand tight? Well, it's like I'm already down here, so might as well just do it. What we should have to do is just zip off these bolts right here to take off this clutch plate, and then we should be able to take off the actual clutch piece, then get to the flywheel bolts, then it should all come off. Then we're able to replace the rear main seal and the pilot bearing. Then vice versa, and put everything back on. I mean, as you can kind of see, this clutch actually it wasn't too bad. Definitely glad we're replacing it though, because only even though it had 98,000 miles, it's definitely still pretty old. Try and get these flywheel bolts off, which I did kind of get them loose, and yeah, I know the chrome socket on an impact, yeah, but that's all I got for now. So got all the bolts off, so now it should just. I did have to put that in there to stop the flywheel from spinning, but it should just pop off now. And there it is. Clutch and the flywheel both off. Now, honestly, we do have the new rear main seal and the new pilot bearing, but these honestly don't look too bad, but we're going to replace them anyways since we have them. It's going to be another first for me. I've never replaced a pilot bearing or rear main seal. I watched a couple of videos on it, so we'll see how it goes. But first, we're probably going to try and get the rear main seal out. I know that they said the easiest way to get the rear main seal out is to drill a screw into it, and then you can get it out. Now, with the pilot bearing, it sounds kind of stupid, but you can also use bread. You just put the bread in there, and then you just keep pounding more and more bread until the pilot bearing pops out. I didn't record a whole lot of that, taking the whole rear main seal out. It was not a fun battle, but I screwed in a bolt, and then pretty much what I was doing was just grabbing it right here, putting it on the bolt, and just freaking smacking it. And finally, came out. Thank gosh I did it now, because doing that in the car, I have no idea how anybody does it. It worked. I cannot believe it, but we got it out. Got the rest of that bread, kind of clean up all around that area. Put in the new pilot bearing and put in the new rear main seal. We got the new pilot bearing and rear main seal installed. Now that we got that all cleaned up over there, we're going to be installing the single mass flywheel with the ARP bolts. Instead of using the dual mass flywheel like the OEM ones have, we got a single mass flywheel, and that means that we can use the ARP bolts. Now, with the ARP bolts, they recommend that you use this lubricant at the top of the bolt, and then use a little bit of this blue Loctite on the threads. A little bit funky with the one freaking messed up finger, but so we're just going to give it a little bit of a coating all around. Of this blue Loctite kind of in the threads up here. Now, yes, I did wipe this thing down the best that I could. Kind of got all the grease and stuff off of it that it comes with. All the bolts in, as you can see. Now it's just going on to torquing them. Now they are recommended, or it says, to torque them to 75 foot-pounds. And it also says in a crisscross pattern, of course. So I'll go over, torque them all down, and then I'll go over them one more time just to make sure. So now we got them all torqued down to spec. Now it's time to put on the clutch. We're just going to keep the clutch alignment tool in there to make sure that the clutch stays aligned. We're gonna line up all the dowel pins. It should go on something like that. Now as we torque it on, it'll push itself onto the dowel pins a little bit better. I didn't happen to record when I was torquing down the pressure plate bolts, but got it all torqued down. So let's see if it worked. Looks like it did. Or if we can put the transmission back on, is put the throwout bearing on. Finally got the new throwout bearing in. I'm probably going to take off the slave cylinder right here, just so that way when I'm putting everything on, it doesn't push on that rod right there and push that off. So I'm going to take that off, and then when I get it on there, I'll put it back on. Well, I would definitely say here comes the hard part of the night of trying to put the transmission back onto the motor. It's been a long night. It's 2:30 right now, but I'm on a mission to get all this done so that we can try and get this into the car as soon as possible. So I'm probably just going to lower the engine a good amount here and try and pivot it kind of upwards, so that way I'm not fighting it up. I'm pushing down, if anything. But again, we'll see how that goes. We actually got the transmission back onto the motor. We don't have all the bolts in yet, but I think I'm going to continue the rest of this tomorrow. Hopefully get the motor and transmission in the car. It's the next morning, and today we finally might achieve something that we've been trying to achieve since we got the car. Still do have to tighten down the transmission bolts, so I'm just going to do that real quick, and then we can get to doing that. Got everything on the transmission all bolted down. Got the starter on, and put on the new motor mounts. Now I'm just going to do the other side real quick. So now both motor mounts are in, transmission's on, all the stuff is in. I put the slave cylinder back on, and the car should be ready for me to put the motor and transmission back into the car. Where I left off was probably you guys seeing me put the motor into the car and kind of working it in. Now we actually got the motor in onto the motor mounts, so the whole entire motor and transmission is in. I did bolt the shifter up just to make sure that everything kind of fit right, as it should have. Now another thing that I also did was put the back tranny brace back on. I did that off camera, but that just kind of pushed the motor and the transmission up so everything fit a little bit better. With all that said and done, make sure to stay tuned for the next video. If you guys are new, make sure to like and subscribe. I'm going to keep trying to put out as much content as I can, but other than that, I appreciate you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.